This episode is brought to you by Spindrift.
And Fast Eddie's Restaurant. Mile 1,300. No, mile 1?
Tok, Alaska.
Yeah. Holy moly.
Mm-hmm. It's a big one.
There you go.
Spindrift is so good, though.
You to each like their own. I can water the bubbles.
It's good.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome back to the Toolkit. Jordan, Bud here. And I have my new co-host in with me, Lea Piper.
Lea Piper-Budd, potentially.
Also, yeah, potentially. Lea Piper-Budd. That's potentially. The law says that we are 100% married.
Yes, the law doesn't quite say that there's a dash in my name yet.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a lot of paperwork. That's a lot of paperwork.
That's going to change. But anyways, yeah, we're going to start doing a lot more episodes together. So far, I think this will be our 5th podcast, but I've mostly have done these by myself. And we just thought, like, you hunt with me a ton, even though, it's not like, I guess you have a real job, whereas I kind of have a real job too, but it's just a little different kind of a real job.
Not the like have to go to work every day.
Right.
Like to an office.
Not an 8 to 5.
Yeah.
You don't really have an 8 to 5 either. No.
No, it's a 7 to 7.
For 3 days a week.
For 3 days a week.
And then you get 4 days.
And I get 4 days off, and that is lovely.
Yeah. So that changed this year, and that's been awesome for hunting stuff. But you hunt with me so much anyways. We share a lot of the same hunting style. Thank goodness. And yeah, we just do a lot of the same things. So I was like, it'd be a lot better if we could have a convo and kind of bounce things off each other and dig into our hunts and kind of recap things that we've been doing. Because I think some of it too, Instagram tends to get glorified. You just pick and choose what you put on there, right? Like some of the things that are boring to me, why would I want to put those on?
Yeah.
The gram. But I think too, videos, like we do a ton of videos. We've had, I don't know, you and I have probably done 4 or 5. We've got another like couple, at least 2 more in the works. But the video stuff kind of gets shortened up too. Could be a really long hunt, 10-day hunt, 7-day hunt, whatever. And it's going to get compressed into 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And some of that is like my style of editing. That's just how I'm going to edit, and I'm not going to change. Like, I'm not going to do a day by day, like take you through every little thing in a video. That's just not me. But I'll do that in a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something kind of cool too. We can even recap old videos and like have a video playing, and we can talk about it and break the whole hunt down more like that. So,
but even like, even if you're going like day to day, you're not going to talk about every single minute of the day and like, glassing for hours and hours and hours. Like it's right. Like still such a abridged version that, yeah, I mean, you can cover a whole hunt, 10-day hunt, and still like a 15-minute podcast, but you're talking kind of day by day.
You missed it. Yeah. So, that's the direction. We're still going to do gear stuff. We're definitely going to tie, like, gear's still a huge part of, me and what I like to do and just what I like in general. So, that's still going to be like a part of the podcast for sure, breaking gear down of what we've tried and not tried and, all that stuff. But, and then we're still going to have people on too. I just had Evan Simbita Custom Knives on, and he talked about just kind of a rundown all about knives. And so we're still going to have stuff like that. But, yeah, you're going to see a lot more of Lea on.
Cool.
The podcast.
Glad to be here.
She's pumped.
Nervously pumped.
Yeah. What do you do? You should tell people what you do.
I'm a surgical assistant, and so I assist surgeons during surgeries to help them have good outcomes, and kind of work around the surgical suite and make sure that they have everything they're going to need for the surgeries and stuff as well. So,
right. So, new and upcoming stuff. So basically, what we're going to talk about in this episode, we just wrapped up our Western season for the most part. You still have a tag. We both might have Nebraska tags going in.
We might just put one in our pocket in case a banger comes out.
You
just never know. You got to always be prepared.
Yeah.
Scouts honor, right?
Right. So, so we just wrapped up the Western season for the most part. Today is like the 2nd of November. And we're going to talk, in this podcast, we're going to talk a little bit about the hunts that we did. But we're getting packed up, ready to go to Nebraska to guide for, outfit, I guess. Running water hunting is our outfitting business there in Nebraska. So we've got a hunter out there now, and my guide, Cole, is taking care of him. So we're going to, get all packed up, move over. It's about a 14-hour drive. So
I'm excited to get over there.
Like the deer are moving.
How many cameras do we have out this year? 26?
There was 32 at one point.
Yeah.
And some of them have ran out of battery.
We
have got to refresh
covered country this year with cameras.
Huge.
Like, it's insane. Onyx is just full of camera pins. Otherwise, we'd be losing them left and right, which we probably will still lose, two, I would say. Because we moved them and didn't move the pins or something like that. But we've been getting lots of pretty good pictures and stuff, but it's we haven't been able to be there as much this year because we've been really focusing on our Idaho deer hunts, and our guide Cole has been over there and just sending us videos of what he's spotting, and it's getting me amped.
He's glassing and picking up bucks that we've never seen on camera. And that's one thing about cameras too that's kind of interesting is we have 32 of them out there, and I've got a few bucks. And he had 5 shooters in front of him this morning.
It just goes to show that that's just a perfect proof that cameras are not going to do all the scouting for you.
No.
Boots on the ground, glass in your eyes is the best way to do it. Otherwise you're never going to know what all's out there if you're not going to go and put the time in and look.
Yeah, for sure. So we're super pumped to get over there and start looking at bucks. We'll be doing that. Pretty much all in November, and we'll be there November and December. There's some break times in there, over Thanksgiving and stuff like that we don't run any hunters, but excited to get over there. Then something new I've never done before. I guess the Meat Eater guys haven't done a live tour. They had one set up and then they had to cancel it.
I think they did one. I heard their podcast when they had a live
and they did one.
Yeah.
Okay. So, December 6th, they're going to be in Denver for the first stop of the live tour on this trip, and I'm going to be there with them. Scared. So that's December 6th. You can get tickets if you go to themeateater.com. If you're around, it'd be cool. I think there's Chester's going to play some music. Spencer's going to be there. We're going to do a trivia podcast episode, and then it'll be Steve and Yanni, and I'm not sure who else. I think Derek Wolf is going to be at the Denver one. So that'll be cool. Go check out tickets. And then also with Meat Eater, my caribou episode just dropped that I did with Giannis. It was an archery caribou hunt. We were hunting the 40-mile herd. Got flown in, dropped off. I think we were only there for 7 days or 5 days, 5 days of hunting. But I shot a caribou on camera. It was kind of cool with my bow, and that's just on their YouTube channel, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a really good video so far. I obviously got to watch it a few times, but it seems like the feedback's been pretty great.
Yeah, it seems like the feedback can be dicey.
And it can be rough.
Real dicey. So I don't even look at it, honestly. I don't even look at it.
I proofread and I just send her screenshots of the funny things people say and leave out the negative stuff because there's always going to be negative stuff.
You shouldn't spend much of your time in the comments.
But talk about great is that caribou, I think, top 2 things I've ever eaten. It is so good.
And number 1,
that boy, that boy right there, doll sheep. Yeah, man,
that was the best for sure. We were taking roasts that were for an elk or something would be the
hardest chewing piece of
grinder
meat on them. Yeah,
and we were cutting them up into steaks, and they were so good,
better than tenderloin.
It was unreal.
Yeah, amazing. So far, of the things that you've shot in Alaska, I am like, yes, shoot more things in Alaska. I don't know if it's their diet or what they're eating,
Yeah,
but like,
I mean,
man, everything just is so good.
Yeah.
Like,
unreal.
Yeah. So if you ever go to Alaska and you shoot something, like, don't be giving away any of that meat.
No.
Like that.
Yeah.
Like, bring it all back with you for sure.
Yeah. So that we got a new product released today with a partner. I work a bit with Sig Sauer, and they have they came out a little earlier this year or later on last year. They came out with what they call the X10, which is it's a P320 that's a 10 mil. So they call it their X10. So this is the original one that came out. It's a full size, and it's great. I carried this on the caribou hunt, this exact pistol. But then today they just dropped their new comp, which is it's basically like their compact. It's got a little under a 4-inch barrel, and then the slide also has a compensator here on the top. So a little bit, smaller, a little easier to carry, 15 round mag. You've got a little pick rail here. You could put a light on or something. I've got a light that I like to throw on it. And then it's also optic ready. So you can throw a red dot on it. And yeah, that's literally brand new. Today, what is it? The 2nd? Yeah, November 2nd. They just came out with this. So, I think this is gonna be a nice pistol for like people wanting to carry, like especially in bear country. We were supposed to go on a Wyoming hunt this year that was going to be in bear country, and it's actually going on right now, but we're just not going to make it with some timing restrictions. But like this is what I was going to carry for sure. Rolling on to like more updates, and like, I mean, we already did we just wanted to run through basically what hunts that we've done this year so far. We're going to dive into some of them more in detail. Some of them we can probably combine together. But we're going to run through them here. So the first one we did was Utah. So we hunted Utah for archery and muzzleloader season. Archery opened. Basically, the reason I decided to draw that tag is because I was self-filming a Meat Eater episode in Idaho, and that needed to be with a rifle. So that basically meant I couldn't hunt archery season. And I was like, I can't not hunt archery mule deer. Mm-hmm. Like, I just can't. It would kill me if I let. Literally.
You just die on the inside to not have a bow in her hands during archery season.
Yeah, that would suck. I mean, they're just my favorite thing ever. So, we got to looking around a little bit and just was like, well, I haven't been to Utah. One of the reasons I like that is because it opened so early.
Mid-August.
Yeah, super early. And we didn't even go down really when it opened. We didn't go down right away. We went down a little later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did one scout trip midsummer.
Yes, we did. That was huge.
It was a big kind of like figure out your road systems, figure out where we're going to camp, XYZ type of thing. We started in one area. We ended up, hunting in a completely different area than we thought we were going to start out with. Mm-hmm. I think we covered like 200 miles on the side-by-side that first weekend on the scouting.
First day.
Was it the day?
The first day we did 150 miles, I think.
It was like we almost ran out of gas. Mm-hmm. Like it was just like figuring out the roads and like, what Onyx says versus what you see is completely, like different sometimes, just like what you think it's going to be like. And so that was a good learning experience. Otherwise that would have been like day one hunting and it would have been tragic.
Yeah.
We did that once. And then we went down there the second weekend, I think is when we started actual archery hunting.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then we ended up hunting like a week and then went back home. You had to work. I went back. And I ended up shooting the target buck that we were after with my bow. So that was cool. Then we ended up going back for muzzleloader season. It was real tough.
It was real
for muzzleloader season.
Wet. It was rainy.
Really wet. Yeah, rainy all the time. Super windy.
Socked in. Couldn't glass like we normally do. And seemed like a different.
Yeah, and the bucks beast. Were just. I mean, that was later September, so you'd expect the bucks to be just. They shed their velvet, they're in the timber or like a little more in the trees, not afraid as much to go in there. and it was just hard. I don't know. It was just tough.
It was a humbling
So
experience.
we'll dive into that. It was rough.
You know, when you go and you scout something in the summer, you get to early archery hunt and the deer pop because they still have that nice orange coat, brown coat. You know, you get to see a lot of deer. They have no pressure yet. Like, it just felt like it was like so fun to go down there and like get to do that early archery and get to see a bunch of deer. And then it was like, pow, like slap in the face when it came to muzzleloader hunting, because it was like, and they're hidden. Like,
I mean, that's just kind of early versus late season.
For sure.
Not even, I mean, that was a 2-week spread, really. Mm-hmm. It wasn't that much, but God,
a lot
dang,
can change.
It was a lot of change. Mm-hmm. So we'll dive into all that more. But then I guided a couple Nebraska elk. Yeah. My brother-in-law, he shot like a mid 340s bull. We had another guy that came in early October. We shot a, what was he, 365?
Close to 365, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So mid 360s bull, super fun hunting cornfield elk. Mm-hmm. A little different than we're used to, but it was just
and rifle during September. You know.
Oh yeah. So Nebraska, Nebraska has their elk seasons. It's residents only. It's once in a lifetime draw for residents. But then, like, even if you. Like, I'm technically a non-resident now, but I can still draw a tag because we're landowners. So they give you a little, I don't know, incentive there, I guess, for feeding the elk. And then we hunted Idaho, basic. So there were some twists and turns in there. That was September. What did we do? So we went and hunted the first couple weeks of September. Mm-hmm. So that's how that went. So I shot my buck in August, I think. Still in August or very early September. Yeah, I'll have to look at the dates on that. But then we hunted in Idaho, tried to get you a bull with archery equipment, looked for bucks at the same time.
It was sparse.
It was pretty sparse.
We saw one bull.
Yeah.
We made a big play all the way around and kind of got where we thought he was going to be and got in and called and silence.
Yeah, I couldn't find him again. We ended up running into I would say like a very pretty well-known person. Mm-hmm. I don't know how he is about elk hunting, but he was having trouble too. So I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't feel as bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just us. You know?
Yeah. You know, sometimes you're like, man, do I suck?
Yeah.
And then you run into other people and they're like, man, I can't find shit.
Yeah.
Like, oh, good. Yeah. It's not just me.
Oh, yeah.
And talking to other friends and stuff this year, it seemed like it was kind of a mutual thing. That everyone was on the struggle bus a bit.
Yeah. And even deer, that's kind of when I started being like, oh, man, our deer populations are like, we had trouble finding bucks. Mm-hmm. Even when we were scouting. I think the one good 4-point I saw, he was young and I passed him, did not shoot him. I hope he made it through, but that was like the 4-point that I saw, I think. Mm-hmm. Besides, like, we saw some small few bucks during season, but
nothing that had like just like that solid frame. Like that one you're talking about had like a solid frame.
Yeah.
We saw some that had, you know, like a crown point, or, you know, some that had like great back forks but were crabby in the front.
Or none in the front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 points.
A bunch of stuff like that. It was kind of weird.
You know, it was just, you know, if you're searching for like those nice solid framed 4-point bucks, just for us anyways, it just seemed like we struggled to find them this year.
Yeah, we did. So yeah, we did that. I went and hunted Colorado for about 2 days, and then my bow got stolen. So then I left and went to Nebraska, and actually ended up. That's when we I guided elk in Nebraska. But I don't know. We could dive into that more later.
I'm sure we will.
It comes down to like, I'm an idiot, and also people suck. And we were hunting. Long story short, we ended up hunting some BLM, and it was pretty tight. And it was just little sections of BLM, and we were trying to cut a bull off, and ended up we got back to the vehicle of the guy that we were with. He was off hunting on his own too. And so I just like yard sailed all my stuff and was eating snacks and, you know, taking jackets and stuff off and kind of reorganizing my pack. And we got ready to go. Threw my pack in the back, looked in the back seat of the pickup. There's a bow cam. I'm like, all right, my bow's in here. We're all good. Jumped in, left. Freaking figured out that I didn't have my bow. And we went back to that spot and it was gone.
Yeah. Somebody
definitely snagged
it. Threw it in and never looked back.
Yeah.
So unfortunate, like
so annoying.
Forgetfulness happens. But you know, I guess we're kind of used to people not taking.
It was a bad part of Colorado. I mean,
yeah. It could happen anywhere, subject. But yeah, it could definitely. Most people would just leave it. But.
Yeah. So, whatever.
At the same time that Jordan was on her struggle bus in Colorado, I had a buddy of mine that drew a really sweet tag down in Utah for archery elk, and was able to go down, mess around with Alpha Outfitters a little bit, and just got to like go and enjoy a great like 26 point draw unit for archery elk in Utah, which I will probably never get to do. Yeah. It was like Yellowstone. It was amazing. We called in like 10 different bulls and got to be super picky and got to see some amazing bulls. And I took it as a learning trip. Like I went down there and just wanted to like, you know, in Idaho, you might get a chance to call in a couple a year. Like we were calling in, you know, 5 a day over there. Yeah. And so it was just like getting to learn techniques, calling techniques, and when to, you know, be whacking on trees and sounding like you're a big bull, and when not, you know, when to be loud, when to shut up and stuff like that. So that was super fun. I kind of gave up a weekend of hunting for a weekend of knowledge. And I think it was worth it.
Oh yeah. You kind of like, you had an option. And I was just, when you told me what tag he had, I was like, I would go do that if I were you.
It was super fun. Yeah. I had a great time, and I was able to film a little bit of it and got some pretty cool footage and stuff that I'm going to send to my buddy that had the tag. And it was pretty fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So fun. Makes you just want to draw limited entry tags all the time. All right. Then let's see, that was end of September, and then October 10th is when season started here in Idaho. And I filmed for the first 10 days. I filmed for Meat Eater. So I backpacked in. I was in snow. It was rough. Yeah, there's tons of people, it seemed like this year, backpacked out, just looked over a ton of country. I think I moved to areas like 4 times. Mm-hmm. And found some bucks, passed on all of them, and then we ended up in like the last 3 days of when we had that tag, you got off work and came and hung out and hunted with me, and we had a friggin' wolf.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the wolf already.
Yeah, we had a big white wolf, 915 yards, and I just screwed around long enough. It was almost one of those things that we had come up the trail, and we knew that there was a dude. I thought he was on the ridge.
I thought he was on that ridge too.
We had seen him, so I thought he climbed up the ridge. He didn't. He went a different spot and climbed up a different place. So we thought he's on that ridge. So we went to a different spot. We're sitting, hear a wolf howl.
I assumed it was like, him. I was like, that hunter's messing around over there.
I wasn't even gonna look.
Like, yeah. And I was like, I'll just look along the ridge and see if I can see him sitting on the rocks over there. And I look along the ridge, and it took me like 5 seconds, and I see this big old white wolf. And was like, oh crap, there's an actual wolf right there. And I think we were just like, what? Really? Cool. Like, it was hard to like jump into that, like, we gotta do something real fast.
My initial thing is like, we gotta film him. Mm-hmm. Like I want to get film of him. Like, you don't see wolves very often, and I wanted to get footage of him, and he was a long ways away. And so I was already setting up my tripod, I think, and I just like hurried up, got my spotter, swung it over, clipped my phone on, and started filming him. And then I was like, I wonder how far that is. And I looked, it was 9:15. It's 14 and a half MOA for the Creedmoor. And I was like,
you can hear on the video, click, 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 click,
yep.
click, click.
And then he just moved over a little bit. And then we just kind of, it was like,
do we move closer? Do we not?
You
want
to get closer. And I was like, just let him have it. But then he was kind of like, went behind some stuff. He was moving. And I don't know. It just screwed it
hindsight with the setup that Jordan has on a rifle. Like,
I should have tried it.
Laid down.
It was like so dead calm that morning. Especially right at that time. It was real nice. So,
and after that, a big bodied. I mean, we're assuming it's a male, but it was a big bodied wolf.
It was a big wolf.
I got a wolf a couple years ago, and that thing looked like it was double the size of the wolf that I got. I mean, just big old belly on him.
He was big.
And, so he sat there and howled, and it was pretty cool.
The first, when I first looked at him, I was just like, make sure it's not a husky. That's literally what I thought. I looked at his face and I was like, it's not a dog.
It was kind of crazy because was it last year or the year before we were hunting and we ran into some sheep herders, and that sheep herder had actually told me what ridge line he thought that there was a den.
Yeah.
And when we were going up there that day, I had talked to Jordan and was like, yeah, like like we're gonna be right on that ridge that the sheep herder told us about. I had an onyx pin just dropped on there from talking to that sheep herder, and then we went and sat up there and saw a wolf, and I was like, holy crap, okay. Like that guy was right on.
It was cool. So then that whole thing kind of fizzled out, and then you ended up finding a buck down in like some burn. It was a burn, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was
old burn.
Yeah, it was
There's a lot of buckbrush in the bottom of it.
It was just thick, nasty. I was like, how the hell did you even see that thing?
I think he was rebedding.
We bedded him down. Oh,
I think he had been bedded. It was like 10 a.m.
But he was in the sun. I mean, he was standing in the sun. I think he was soaking. It was cold. I think he was soaking a little bit of that sun up, but low on the mountain. From where, really from where we had been looking, he was real low on the mountain. But yeah, found him, got him bedded, stalked in, you shot him.
Yep.
And we got to save the rest for the actual podcast. Yeah, and then like I talked about, I had a Wyoming deer tag, and just not going to be able to make it this year. So,
I've got a Wyoming whitetail only tag.
Yeah,
for
that
late
was a leftover.
Season. Yeah,
we're thinking maybe it wasn't a good idea.
It was kind of one of those things where it was like, man, these leftover tags, like you don't have to use your points. Like we should put in for something. And just kind of like looked for a little bit and was like, oh, that one looks all right. Like we'll put in for that. And I've never shot like a really nice whitetail. And so I was like, I should just like kind of try and do that. And maybe I could archery hunt it like if I wanted to. And then I drew it, and then we kind of like hopped on Onyx again and started to like dissect the zone out. And we were like, oh no.
I drove through it. Last time I went to Nebraska, I drove through it, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe there's potential everywhere, but it's not like we have a nice place in Nebraska to shoot a big whitetail or anything.
Well, someone would have to let me shoot one,
we just have to get clients through. And we're going to be there later, so honestly, it kind of makes sense.
It might. It might. You never know. I would feel bad, I think, on our place, just like wanting to leave them for next year's clients, you know? Like
I'm over feeling bad.
You're over it? Like there's a nice one left at the end of the season where he's ours.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
I heard there's a buck out there with a turned down main beam.
You never know.
And I was like, oh boy.
I would like to get eyes on that.
Oh, we will.
Yeah.
All right, real quick, a little call to action here. So the website for the podcast, jordan-bud.com, it has all of our videos on it too. They're all on YouTube anyways, but if you kind of want a one-stop shop, that's where you can go. So it's jordan-bud.com, and you can send an email to ask a question, or you can submit a voicemail. So you hit this little button that says leave a voicemail, and then it lets you talk into your phone, and you can like leave it, which is cool because then it lets me play it live.
Yeah, so we aren't like just reading your question. It's your actual voice popping on, asking us a question, and then we will answer it.
It's kind of cool, I think. So we're going to do a little Q&A here. Some of these I've answered before, but we're going to do it again. Go-to headlamp.
I have the Actic Core.
Petzl.
Petzl. Mm-hmm.
Petzl Actic Core. Yours does not have the rechargeable battery in it.
It doesn't. But
can you put it in there?
I think you can. It's just an extra. They have to buy on $50 maybe more or something like that. And apparently I was being cheap. But yeah, I love that thing. Like you can beam out a ways. It's got 3 different settings.
Nice.
So if if you don't need much, you're trying to be sneaky. You don't want to be blasting light everywhere. You can turn it really down. Or if you're coming out at night and you just want to be able to see a long ways in front of you, you can turn it up and really get some distance.
Yeah. So that's the same one that I have, but I have the rechargeable battery. So the cool thing about it is they have these little, it's like a little square battery that has a mini USB plug on it, and you can recharge it, which is cool. So you can recharge it and it recharges pretty quickly. Or if you're in a bind, you can pop that battery out and you can put 3 AAAs. Two
AAAs. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
A couple AAA regular batteries.
Time even with just the AAAs, but I think it probably lasts even longer with your rechargeable battery.
Yeah, I think so too. And I like it. And then like if it senses that your battery is getting low enough on the highest beam, it'll like if you have it on the highest beam, it'll flash a couple times and it'll just drop you down to the lower, like the next lower beam as you're running out of battery. So then you kind of know that
the end is near.
You're running out of the end is near.
Well, and that's nice because then you can charge it. Whereas sometimes you don't realize that you're not as like the light's not as bright as maybe it could be, and then all of a sudden you're like, why can't I see? And you're like, oh, I need new batteries. And like for me this year, all of a sudden in our trailer we didn't have any AAA batteries, and I was like, no. But like with the rechargeable battery, it's nice. Just pop it out, charge it overnight, and you're ready to rip again.
So I like that one.
What I think we got a lot of questions on your Sig Cross barrel because you got a pretty fancy barrel on your Sig Cross. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh, it's wow, you're really like reading ahead here.
Is that the next question?
Yes. I was like, really? You're not going to go off of our sheet that we have here? And then I looked and I was like, oh,
it's the next question on the sheet.
This whole co-host thing's strange. So it's a Proof Research. It's a 20-incher. The cool thing about the Cross is, with Proof and the Cross. So if you want to lighten up a little bit and go to like carbon fiber barrel, like Proof Research has, they have barrels that are pre-fit to the Cross already. So you basically you spin a barrel off. You take an AR barrel nut wrench and you can spin that off, pull the barrel out, and you can put a new barrel into it and spin it back on. So you can do that with multiple calibers too, which makes it really cool. So like the 300 Win Mag just came out, which is their Magnum. So now they have long actions out. So if I get something like a 7 PRC barrel, which is what I want a 7 PRC barrel, I can change out that barrel from the 300 Win Mag barrel to the 7 PRC. The bolt faces are the same. And I can literally go right into shooting 7 PRC just like that. That's cool as hell.
Yeah, you don't have to own a whole nother rifle. You just have to own another barrel.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So if you're going to buy a barrel like that, they're not serial numbered for, like FFL serial numbered type. You don't have to go through an FFL, so they can ship it right to your house. So yeah, you have the one gun, receiver, whatever, that you can put different barrels on and change your calibers. And you can also, with that, you can change the bolt faces as well if they're available. So if you want to switch barrels to a different short action, but the bolt face is different, you can get bolt faces and you can change it yourself. Mm-hmm. So you can take that bolt apart.
There's no having to take it to a gunsmith and doing a bunch of work and stuff. No, you can do at home plug and play.
You can do it yourself. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
That's cool. So what's the biggest pro for a Proof Research barrel, for a carbon fiber barrel versus a regular barrel?
You lighten up some weight. I couldn't tell you how much. I think some of the steel barrels that I looked at were 4 pounds, and some these Proof barrels I think are 2 pounds 8 ounces, 2 pounds, 12 ounces up in there.
Mm-hmm.
So you can shave some weight by doing that. And then...
Do they regulate heat better if they're carbon fiber?
I don't know.
Okay. I just didn't know. Like, as someone
truly. Yeah,
I'm not a gun nut. And so I just look at it and I'm like, that looks nifty. But I just didn't know, like, 100%. Like, if someone were looking into that, like, why would you look into changing that up? And it's mainly for weight.
I think, that's mainly why a lot of people are looking at carbon fiber is weight. And then also, it's cool.
It's super cool.
It's cool because they're carbon fiber, really. And Proof makes super nice barrels.
Yeah, accuracy is going to be prime.
They make good barrels, so it's what a lot of people want. You know, a lot of people get real deep into tricking their stuff out and like making it as light as they can, or like they want things a certain way. I totally get it. So yeah, that's why they're doing that. And
then you have on the end of that bad boy a silencer.
Oh, I have a suppressor. Yeah. Yeah, I have a SIG suppressor. So,
and it's nice.
Pretty nice.
Because we aren't blasting each other's ears out anymore.
Yeah, basically you get the same. I had a break. I had an MDT break on, that same gun before I got my suppressor in. And so I was running a break on it, and like I really liked how it handled recoil with the brake, but it was loud, like loud. So that suppressor, you basically you get the benefits of a brake without the sound, without the noise, which is kind of nice.
So your buddies that you're hunting with don't hate you?
Yes.
Or your wife doesn't yell at you?
You shouldn't yell at me. You should know I'm shooting, so you should cover your ears.
I should put in those headphones that are automatic noise canceling.
Yeah, I bought her a pair of, God, what are those?
Walkers.
Yeah, they're Walker in-ear. Like, you can talk, and then when you do something loud, she didn't even know where they were for months.
Well, we went to Hawaii, and then on the travel back, they were misplaced, and I was in a panic. I even told my mother and my stepdad that I was like, if I can't find these things by hunting season, I'm about to have to go buy another pair and never tell her that I lost them. And sure enough, they were in the back seat of her pickup.
Do you like
the whole
those?
time? I like them. I think I need to work on they're pretty nifty, actually. They're almost like a mix between like a regular foam earpiece, because it's foam on the end, so you can kind of mold them down and put them in, and then it expands just like a regular earphone would be. And then, but then they have the compression automatic on off, so you can still hear pretty well with them off, so you can still be talking and stuff to each other, but then it really protects your ears for the moment of truth.
Yeah, they make those that have Bluetooth also, so you can run Bluetooth through your phone
or something like that.
I don't really know. I mean, if you already have we already have AirPods, so that means nothing to us really. But if you wanted both, it's a good option, I guess. I wear those walkers that they go around your neck. They just sit around your neck. It's super flexible, and then the earbuds retract. They come out of the thing, and you can put them in your ear, and then when you're not using them, you can hit a button and it retracts them.
Part of me thinks that's almost the better way to go, because
they're just lose them.
You don't lose them, and they're just on your neck, right? And you don't really realize they aren't. You don't find that they get in the way of your vinyl harness, your backpack.
No, I've almost lost them before because I forget about it,
and then they're on your neck.
Yeah, and then I take my shirt off or something like that, and I'm just oh god.
Yeah, but then they're there and ready. Compared to mine are in a little case, and they're always in my backpack or something. And then classically,
you got to put them in
this exact season. I took my backpack off and was sneaking in on this deer and was crawling, and I went to shoot and was my headphones are 40 yards behind me. But I had grabbed Jordan's gun, and so I had a suppressor, so it wasn't that big a deal. But if I had my rifle, I would have had a little ringing in the ears afterwards. Right. Yeah. So that's what I think that would be the pro of those, is that they're just on your neck.
Yeah.
You don't have to remember to grab them out of your backpack.
Right. Yeah, I like it. So next question. I didn't put people's names on here that asked me, so sorry, but
next time.
Yeah, maybe. Typical pack weight for a 5 to 7 day hunt. I don't know.
I mean, it depends on what early season, late season.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you should probably, you don't ever want to go over 60 pounds. I wouldn't say going in.
Gosh, I would say less.
I mean, sure. So I looked when this question popped up. The last time I actually weighed my pack when I was going on a backpack hunt, it was for there was a lady that had a gov tag here in Idaho for sheep, for bighorn sheep, and I was filming it. So I weighed that one because we were horse packing in, and then, you know, I just wanted to be a little more specific about it. So that was 4 days. That was with camera gear, so
which is heavy.
Yes. I was at like 52 or something like that, 54. So take camera gear out and I'm around that 46, 48 mark. That was with a spotting scope and a tripod because I was filming through a spotter, because every camera person should film through a spotter. Just going to say right now. So right in there, so like a 5 to 7 day hunt, like you're going to be right in that 50, 55, right? I mean, even from 5 days to 7 days, your pack weight is going to change probably 5 pounds because of food. Like if you're doing like 2 pounds of food a day or even more, that's 4 pounds right there if you're doing 2 pounds. So even between those 2 days, like you're bumping up quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. The gear just hardly ever changes. It's just the food.
Yeah. Yeah. Or god dang, I don't know what my pack weighed when I I backpacked in for the first like 3 days of the October season here, and oh my god.
Well, it was gonna snow.
It was rough. So I brought a stove.
Yeah. I had the hot tent, Argali tent, and the stove, and by yourself, I wasn't able to go in, and so it was.
Yeah, and then and then a gun. That's the next thing too. Is like, you look at actual pack weights. That pack weight that I'm talking about, that was with no gun. Like, you're gonna take a gun that's 8 to 12 pounds, probably, and 9 to 12 pounds. Plus, you got some ammunition in there. So you got to think about that too. I mean, for like a true 7-day hunt, if you're doing like a 7-day mule deer hunt where you're bringing your spotter, tripod, like you're doing it, it's going to be effing heavy.
Yeah.
Like it just is. And then
you're going to eat.
I don't know.
You're going to eat your food and it's going to get less heavy.
Yeah, it's going to get lighter. Yeah, which is good.
But you can always find water on the hill. You can't find snackies on the mountain.
Yeah, you just like, I feel like the longer the trip goes, you just have to be a little more dialed with your food. Like actually, I don't want to say weigh it out, but yeah, I mean, I've kind of done it enough now. I just kind of like throw some stuff in. I know what I want to eat. When I was even on that hunt, I probably had 1.5 pounds of food a day. I didn't eat all of it. So
you got to be real with yourself and be like,
yeah,
what's the thing that I always leave in that bag and I never hardly eat? And you're like, I'm going to leave that this time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And then too, like just like a 7-day hunt, especially if it's your first trip out west and you're doing a 7-day backpack hunt, like just don't. Seriously, I ain't kidding.
Or just like realistically, like
nights.
Plan on going back to the truck and like getting more supplies after 3 days.
Yeah.
Like plan on going in there, looking around. Like if you haven't seen anything that's worth looking at in 3 days, you probably should move anyways.
You might want to move.
And so if you packed enough crap in there for 7 nights, you have to pack 4 nights out, you know, or four days worth of food out. And so I don't know. It's like if you're 3 miles in or 4 miles in and you get to that 3rd day and you're on a good buck, like it might be worth being like, all right, midday, I'm just going to hump out of here, go grab another, 4 days worth of food and get back.
Yeah. Yeah. There's, some folks, and it's like they just don't know, right? You just don't know, and what you haven't experienced. So folks that are like, hey, what pack should I take for we're doing a 10-day backpack elk hunt in Colorado this year. And I'm just like, oh my God. First of all, don't do it.
Well, it's like, have you ever done that before? And if you're asking me the question as to what pack I should use, it's probably means that you've never done it before.
Haven't done it before.
And
so.
It's like, you don't want to do your first backpacking trip, make it a 10-day trip. Like your first backpacking trip should probably be 3 to 4 days.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So there you go. Poor answer. Depends.
We were maybe a little aggressive, but like we're trying to be honest. Aggressive? We're just telling people like, don't do that. You know, like
that's not aggressive.
It's just being honest.
Or they're just gonna get back there, and then they're gonna hate their lives and then come back out. Or it's gonna be their pack is gonna be so heavy they're not gonna go at all.
Or they're gonna go half the distance they wanted to go because their pack's so heavy because they have so much stinking food in there.
And it happens. I mean, I even got when I backpacked in and my pack was heavy and I was thinking about packing a deer out. And it was just super rough, steep country, like very, very rocky, like nasty, hard to go anywhere. I was literally in a deer bed with my sleeping bag. Like that was the flat spot that I had the option of. And it was just, even after the second day of going up and down that stuff, I was like, oh my God. Like, man, I got in a little too over my head with all this stuff that I have. But anyways, we can dig into that later. What power bank do you use for charging your phone?
Dark energy.
Yeah, we have a lot of dark energies.
Yeah. They're
probably like 8 of them.
They're handy to have just in all of the vehicles and for whatever reasons. They hold their charge. You get multiple charges out of them.
Yeah, the Poseidon Pro is what we've been using. And I like that. And Dark Energy is coming out with a solar panel. Here real soon. They announced it today or yesterday.
Did they announce it? I was going to say, are we allowed to talk about it?
Yeah. So yeah, they have a little solar panel that seems to work good. Plug it in.
Is that the one that rolls up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not some big nasty thing that's hard to carry around and stuff.
No, it's really light. So yeah, you're just gonna have to. Folks are gonna have to look it up for all the specs. I didn't really prepare for this. I just kind of was like, "Oh, they announced it. I'm just gonna announce it too."
Yeah.
So yeah, that's happening. But I think that's like if you're going in for more than like 3 nights, gosh, even 2 nights with all of our stuff, you about have to have a lot of you need to have a lot of power if you're gonna like charge camera batteries.
Yeah, if you're
charge
filming
your phone.
For
sure. Charge your InReach. I will say the InReach Mini 2, you never have to charge it.
I still haven't charged mine.
It's unreal.
If you're not, if you haven't left your wife at home and you're needing to send a lot of messages back and forth and stuff like that, like, well, if you're just using it for pure, like, a message every couple of days or something like that, like, you could almost go a whole season.
And you can leave it on and do that. Like, if you're not laying waypoints and tracking and all that stuff that they can do, like, they'll last for a long, long time. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's Edna.
Edna's meaty. She's a meaty golden retriever. We should have put outside. Hey,
yeah. But so yeah, that's a really good way to do it. I think if you're going for multiple days, or if like you know that you don't want to run out of charge, I think that's a way you can lighten it up too. Is like instead of taking like 3 battery packs with you, which are heavy and always heavy, whether they're empty or not, you just take 1 or 2. Typically, I'll take 2. At night, I will charge all of the batteries up, and then I might have to take one of them with me during the day, just in case. And then during the day when I leave, when I leave, I have the solar panel out plugged into the other one. So by the time I get home in the evening or get back to camp in the evening, that's charged or mostly charged, and I can at least charge my phone with it.
Nice. And
headlamp and stuff like that. So solar panels are great. Another one I've used a lot from solar panel wise is like the Anchor. I think they're 17 watts. They're something. I'll link it, but it's a good way to do it. All right. Last one. This is definitely for you. Any tips? Any tips for making the cleanup from real cooking in camp quicker and easier?
Why is that just me? I don't know. Because I am the camp bitch. I literally
said it, and I was just like, oh, man.
Yeah. Pigeonholing me into the kitchen? Is that what you're doing?
We don't really... I'm moving on. We don't really have a lot of I don't know. Would you call it real cooking? What we've started doing?
We used to, you know, we were in the trailer
Yeah.
and, you know, we'd get back and be like, all right, I'm going to, you know, make tacos or do something, you know,
Yeah.
and then you got to, you know, you're chopping up onions and you're doing this and that or
I
or
don't
whatever.
like that. That's one thing. Either pre-chop that stuff before you leave your house so it's like all ready to go, or buy it pre-chopped.
Yeah. And I'm too much of a tightwad, so I'm always going to buy it whole
I buy
and
it
chop
pre-chopped.
it up.
So,
But yeah, so we were doing that, you know, the first couple of years once we had the trailer and stuff, and then you're tired, you're trying to get your pack ready for the next day, and then you know whatever you cook just like kind of like sits in the pan, you know, the dishes sit in the pan, and the next day you come back and you're like, oh crap, you know, I got to clean all this stuff up, and so we kind of figured out that we can do vacuum seal with a lot of different food options and put it in hot water, like nearly boiling water.
yeah.
And
Yeah, and it's being a pain in the ass.
and like put it in a small enough like
Gosh.
dog
All right.
in the
Yeah.
headlock.
So basically what you do
You know.
is when you make meals at home, like spaghetti, pasta, like soup. We've done it with a lot of different things. And basically like any that's left over, you just put that in a vacuum seal bag, seal it, kind of make it flat so it reheats pretty quick, put it in the freezer, freeze it solid. When we get out into the field, we'll just take a pot. Well, not in the field, like backpacking, but
Yeah, like in the trailer.
you know, yeah, like in the trailer,
we're talking
camper,
like,
or whatever.
yeah, cooking at a trailer
Or just at a base
truck
camp.
base
Yeah.
camp type of a thing.
Yeah, and you take a pot, you fill it up with water, you know, a pot that's like, yay. I just went from
like a
here, but
10 quart pot or whatever.
yeah, and you like halfway with water probably. You get that water warmed up, put the whole meal in there inside the bag. Like don't puncture the bag or anything. Put the bag in there and you get it to where the water is like almost boiling, but it's not. It's just like kind of tipping on that edge of boiling. And I think that just lets it you don't want it too hot. I mean, you're already putting plastic in water and getting it warm. Whether that's going to give me cancer or not, I don't really care at this point. But I'm not going to push it and put it in raging boiling water.
And we didn't want. We were
to
afraid that
melt stuff.
Yeah, the plastic would melt. But it works really good.
So good.
We can put that on, and it'll be warming up, and we can be, you know, taking off our boots or repacking our backpack for the next day, or you know, looking at Onyx and making another plan. And 15 minutes goes by, or you know, however long, you can kind of like feel it and see like, you know, if it's warm enough or not.
You feel it with your hands, like mush it around a little bit, and
then it's just like, all right, it's done, and you just pour it out into, you know, a paper bowl, and your meal's done. Like it's easy. And then we kind of just like keep that pot with water sitting there, and so you can reuse the water because it's not dirty, and reuse that water a bunch, and it just makes it like there's no prep, there's no cleanup. Like you're just eating that stuff, and like what we do a lot of times is that's like leftovers from when we're at home cooking. Like if I'm making pasta at home, I just make like a huge batch of pasta, and then pull out the vacuum sealer, and whatever leftovers we have, I throw in there and throw it in the freezer, and then it's like ready for hunting season when it comes around.
Yeah, and I got that entire idea for that whole thing. I got when we were literally sheep hunting in Wyoming. When I was filming for the TV show, like that's what they did, and we were horseback hunting, and like it was a guided deal, but his wife would like make all this stuff. One that was really good we had every morning was just like a breakfast scramble. And we brought tortillas. He would heat that stuff up, put a little bit on all of our tortillas. We'd put like ketchup, cheese, whatever we wanted on it, and then when that food's gone out of that plastic thing, like we would burn it at the time. We're in freaking grizzly bear country, like trying to get rid of all, you know, everything that we can as far as scent goes. But like, you know, we just throw it away and then like you're done. So that's like where the idea came from, and why it came from that is because when you're like eating and cooking in camp and stuff, especially in grizzly bear country, like the less scent and food and stuff that you can get around is like what you want to do. Yeah, way the better. So using paper plates, using that plastic stuff, whatever, you get done with it, you can burn it and it's gone. It's like you're not going to have a bear
come and
go smashing through the middle of your camp in the middle of the day when you're not there, tearing stuff up because they're trying to get to freaking whatever.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it works really good, and it's efficient. And we eat real fast, and you're in bed, and you know, the faster that you can accomplish those like everyday mundane tasks, and like you still get like a nice meal. You know, you're not just like, and it's just like a little bit better for you than, you know, eating freeze-dried meals all the time. Like, you know, a lot of people's tummies don't agree with those if you do it day after day after day.
Expensive.
And they're expensive for sure.
Right.
And so it's I don't know, it just works really good for us. And we've just kind of been enjoying a lot of those meals. Yeah,
and then there's other stuff we'll mix it. Like we don't do that with meat. You know what I mean? It's not like we'd make steaks and then put them in bags like that to do the sous vide or whatever the hell it's called. So if we have steak, like we still make that on the grill.
Yeah.
Steak at night, but then I don't know, there's other things you can get too, like the just little things of like instant mashed potatoes. You can rip those up pretty quick.
The like pre-made rice bag deals that are like Uncle Ben's or whatever it is that you can get it like a whole case of them at Costco that take like all they take is water, and like you can heat them up on a flat top griddle, or if you have a pan you can heat them up, but like they don't stick, they don't do anything, so your cleanup is like a wipe out of your pan.
I think that's I guess one downside to like mashed potatoes or something like that is you kind of got to put them in a, but the other thing is too, like you could just get water boiling and put them in the bowl you're going to eat them out of and put water in with it and mix it up. Mm-hmm. Like if you want to get real crazy about it.
About not having dishes.
Yeah, because we'll take those Idahoan mashed potatoes with us and put them in our backpack meals for like a little extra.
A little extra substance.
Yeah, and flavor and whatever. So there's multiple ways to do it, but freaking buy stuff pre-sliced. Just do it.
Don't do it. It's more expensive.
No, it's not. I literally bought mushrooms that were already cut up, and they were the exact same price as the whole mushrooms.
That is rare.
Yeah. Still. Buy everything so pre-sliced.
Frugal over here. I just can't help it.
So frugal.
and then something comes up that I want. I have to be frugal with produce, so that way when other shit comes up, gear-wise, that I want to buy, I just buy it.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, that's the end of our Q&A. So that's our first episode. Good job. And coming up, we'll cover those hunts more in detail. Dive into the gear that we used, what we like, what we didn't like. We've got you tried a new tripod this year that we don't really like. That we're gonna get rid of ASAP. Gosh, what else? Is there really anything new that?
No, I mean, I think it's just going to be fun to like dissect into a lot of this stuff. Like Jordan's like a complete nerd about this stuff. I'm learning to be more of a nerd. I'm definitely someone that is more like, oh, I use it. It works real good. And like never really go for change.
She never used to put a bipod on her gun.
Well, it's because I grew up in Redneckville and you just like shoot shit real fast. Like not.
Yeah, how'd that work out?
It didn't work out well.
Right.
It didn't. So
that's what I'm saying.
So
it's kind of cool. Like we have like kind of two different sides of the thing. I feel like I've just been geeking out about it longer.
Yeah, I think that you like to try new things a little bit more, and that I like to find something that works really good, and then I just kind of stick with it. But it's like it's just like two different ways of thinking, and it's been really, really fun to be able to try out a bunch of new things because I get all of Jordan's hand-me-downs, which is bonus. And that it's fun to try everything out. And so like, gosh, man, like it's a hunter's paradise in our garage. And so I think that, you know, we do a really good job of being able to kind of like save people some money because they don't have to buy all this crap.
Yeah.
We're going to test it out.
And I've talked about that for a long time. Is like, that's kind of what my goal is there's a lot of people that have waited a long time to be able to come out here, and I want to try them. I want to give people a good place that they feel confident that I'm giving them good information. As good information as I can give. A lot of this stuff is personal preference, like boots and stuff like that. My foot is not the same as yours, as we found out and we know. So there's some things like that, but I want people to be like, yeah, Jordan said that this is a good way to go for this application. Like, I don't know. I want people to be able to put some faith into me and trust me on that stuff when they're coming out for 5 days that they've saved up 2 years, 3 years to go on. So I don't know. I'm rambling. All right, we're at an hour 5, so
we should probably stop talking.
Cut it. Yep.
Yeah. We'll be back.
Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next episode.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Jordan's Toolkit. If you have any questions or suggestions for future episodes, please visit the website, jordan-bud.com, and follow the links to submit an email or voicemail to be played on air. If you're listening on an audio platform, you can also watch this podcast on YouTube via Jordan Budd's personal channel.